Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Upshift podcast. But today, it's not a podcast. Today is the very first episode in a three-part series of a YouTube kind of exclusive. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the beginner's guide to Formula One. So the first thing that we need to lay out is 10 teams. There are 10 teams and 20 drivers. There are 2 drivers for every team. Actually, there are more drivers for each team, but I'll get to that in a little bit. The 10 teams that are on the grid right now are Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes, Williams, Renault, Haas, Scuderia AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, and Racing Point. Now, all those teams have a power unit supplier. There are currently 4 power unit suppliers in F1. There's Honda, Renault, Mercedes, and Ferrari. The teams pick what engine that they want to be supplied with. There are a few teams in each. McLaren are obviously supplied by Renault, and Renault is always supplied by itself. Haas, Alfa Romeo, and Ferrari are supplied by Ferrari. Red Bull and Scuderia AlphaTauri are powered by Honda, and Mercedes, Williams, and Racing Point are powered by Mercedes. Now, which engine is better? Right now, it's Mercedes, because Mercedes have won 6 world championships. Now, the drivers. There are, again, 2 drivers for each team. The 2 drivers are kind of in order. There's the main driver, and then the secondary driver, which is important, but not as important as the first driver. For instance, in Scuderia Ferrari, right now, it's kind of obvious that Charles Leclerc is now the number 1 driver for them, and Sebastian Vettel is a support driver. So the 20 drivers that are on the grid right now are Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel for Ferrari, Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz for McLaren, Alexander Albon and Max Verstappen for Red Bull Racing, Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas for Mercedes, Nicholas Latifi and George Russell for Williams, Esteban Ocon and Daniel Ricciardo for Renault, Kevin Magnussen, Romain Grosjean for Haas, Daniel Kvyat and Pierre Gasly for Scuderia AlphaTauri, Kimi Raikkonen and Antonio Giovinazzi for Alfa Romeo, and Lance Stroll and Sergio Perez for Racing Point. Now, there are also other drivers for those teams. There's the reserve drivers, test drivers, and development drivers. For instance, in the case of Williams, the reserve driver is Jack Aitken, and what the reserve driver does is, in case of an accident or something happens, which is a very unlikely case due to how safe Formula One is right now, that reserve driver will step in for one of the drivers. For instance, recently with Sergio Perez, he was eliminated for a little bit on the grid due to his positive test for coronavirus, and Nico Hülkenberg stepped in. So that's essentially what the reserve driver does. They come to every single Grand Prix in case anything happens. And now there are 2 things also you guys need to know. The test and development drivers. The test and development drivers essentially test out the car, and the development drivers kind of do drive the car and do a simulator that each team has. The simulator is a fully immersive racing sim with full immersion, where it's basically a replica of the car, and it's a full motion simulator where you can feel like all the movements going through corners. The development drivers are usually there to develop themselves to get ready for Formula One. For instance, in, again, the case of Williams, with their test driver as Roy Nissany, who made his FP1 debut with Williams a few weeks ago, and Dan Ticktum as their development driver, who races on the sim, and also Jamie Chadwick. So essentially what they do is try to prepare themselves for F1 and try to get with a team to kind of get bearings in Formula 1 and be involved with a team. And now to establish kind of what's going on more recently, there are world championships. There are 2 world championships. They're drivers and constructors. For the past few years, Mercedes has been dominating with Lewis Hamilton, and a few years ago, Nico Rosberg, who has retired. So the 2 drivers, like I explained, are Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. There are two championships, the Driver Championship and the Constructors Championship. The Drivers Championship is obviously all 20 drivers competing for one championship. At the end of all the races, they have a point system, which I'll explain in a little bit, and whoever has the most points wins the Drivers Championship. And also the Constructors Championship, where both drivers have a combined points, and whoever has the most points wins the Constructors Championship. And now the points layout. Obviously, there are 20 drivers, and not all of them can score. Only the top 10 can score, with them all having a different tally of points, not all of them having the same point system. Now, the winner obviously gets the most points with 25 points, second place with 18, and it keeps going down, with third getting 15, fourth getting 12th, fifth getting 10 points, sixth getting 8, seventh getting 6, 8th getting 4, 9th getting 2, and 10th getting 1. And now the fastest lap, whoever gets the fastest lap in the entire race gets 1 extra point that gets added to the end result. And now let's move on to qualifying, which people actually get the most confused with. It's actually understandable. At first I was pretty confused, and essentially there are 3 qualifying parts. Q1, part 1, is when all 20 drivers go out to get the fastest lap they can, and then the bottom there are only the top 15 can make it through to Q2, so the bottom 5 get eliminated. Usually that's just the slowest drivers get eliminated, and they can't compete in qualifying anymore, and that's where they will start: 20th, 19th, 18th, 17th, and 16th. So only the top 15 can go through. Then to Q2, it's the same story, where the bottom 5 get eliminated, and then they go into Q3, where only the top 10 can compete, and there are no more eliminations. It's just the top 10. It's just the scoring points positions, and they all compete to get the fastest lap. And now to get a little bit more technical, there are 2 concepts of the car that you guys should know. There are 2 RSs, I guess, the DRS and ERS. DRS is short for drag reduction system. It's when the back flap of the rear wing, the top flap, opens and lets air through to decrease drag. There are DRS zones in each circuit, and to activate DRS, you have to be within 1 second or within 1 second of the car ahead. The DRS doesn't activate automatically on lap 1. It activates on lap 3, and for the rest of the race, but sometimes it does get deactivated with a safety car. And then the FIA, the whole controller of the Formula One races, they decide when it comes back on. ERS is short for Energy Recovery System. ERS is essentially the engine in a Formula One car is a hybrid engine, so it's part petrol engine, part electric engine. So each car has a certain amount of energy boost, and they can run out. It's like in a video game with nitrous. You have it for a certain amount of time, and you can use it anywhere you want, but it gets depleted. So how they recover this energy is with braking and coasting through corners, not getting onto the gas. The braking causes the battery to charge up, and they can also turn it all the way off so they can recover some more ERS. They can deploy it whenever they want, and also there's an overtake mode on almost all of the cars where they get an extra boost of energy, more than ERS, but sometimes that can cost a penalty. And now the races. There are 22 races now, the most in F1 history, going all around the globe for each race. The season usually starts in Australia, but obviously due to COVID-19, this season started in Austria. But next season, hopefully it will start in the right place. Now, if you guys have any questions, please be free to leave it in the comment section below. Do please tweet me if you guys have any video wants or needs, and I hope you guys have all enjoyed this beginner's guide to F1. Look out for the beginner's guide to F2 in a little bit. Have a great day. Please consider sharing this with friends and family. Follow me on Instagram at the UpshiftCast. Follow me on Twitter at the UpshiftCast. Follow me on Facebook at Zaki Bosham. Subscribe to my YouTube channel that you guys are all watching. Upshift F1, Upshift Podcast. The T is a 1 in Upshift because of joke. Be safe in quarantine. Have a great day and a goodbye.